What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today for a twofer. Two for the price of one. We got a PSA pricing special, a small one. But there is actually something in here that intrigues me very much that I probably will be taking advantage of. We also have a fresh set of Gemrate numbers out for the month of July. Back from the National, hung out with Gemrate quite a bit at the National, actually. I had a couple after hours things. Always a good time hanging out with Gemrate, getting the inside details, the behind the scenes goodness for all of his wonderful data. Let's start off with the PSA special first. That one won't take very long, and then we'll take a very quick glance at the monthly numbers. So this one seems to be targeting two things. Set collectors, kind of, and reholders are really the two biggest things here. The first part of this special is a 60s special. That's right, 1960 to 1969 only. Declared value limit of $200 and a $15 per card limit. Not crazy good, not... it is what it is. There's going to be some people that probably have some stuff that they've been sitting on that they want to send in for this. Cool. To me, the appealing one here is actually the reholder special. $11.99 per card for reholder is actually pretty good. I have a bunch of Manny Ramirez slabs. I will 100% be sending in to take advantage of that. A couple other things here. Oversized sports autograph grading encapsulation specials. Nothing crazy, really. It's a pretty weak month for August specials. There's a reason for this. If you have sent in orders recently, you know the receiving department is still pretty backed up from the last special that they ran. I believe they're at least a good week or so behind in getting orders checked in. I don't know in regards to how they're flowing through the system, but I do know that there is a little bit of a bottleneck at the front end of the line that is causing things to slow down a little bit. I am, as we speak, actually, I have cards spread over my desk trying to get to 20 cards to send in for a Collectors Club membership submission. If I can't get there, I will probably go back through ComC for direct grading. But I am kind of trying to track down some cards enough to get there. I ripped 8 boxes of Topps Chrome. Spoilers for tomorrow's video when we get there. You'd think I'd have plenty enough cards to grade, but I really kind of don't, which I don't know what that says. And it's not really necessarily a quality control issue. I can tell you that. Most of the cards were pretty decent. A little bit of centering issues, but yeah, struggling to get to 20 cards. So those are the two specials. Like I said, nothing crazy. I have a feeling a lot of people will take advantage of that reholder special. I honestly wish they would have announced this before the National. I would have taken a bunch of stuff to reholder and drop off. I'm guessing that they didn't because they probably didn't want to lug all that stuff back to their offices themselves. But like I said, their last month special went pretty good. They don't really need the work, so they're not incentivized to run a special until they kind of clear that backlog. My guess is they use August as a catch-up month and then come out firing for September. That'll give them a little bit more time to get New Jersey more manned and operational and get things kind of worked through the system. So that is the August special. Nothing super crazy there. Just kind of generally speaking, coming off the National, no other pricing specials from anyone else at the moment. I'm guessing everyone's got to kind of reset themselves, setting up back shop, getting employees back, getting through all the orders checked in that were dropped off at the National. So I don't expect anything crazy out of any of the companies for at least a short little bit of time. Someone could surprise me, who knows? But I feel like they got enough stuff to kind of keep them busy for a little bit that I don't see any crazy prices coming out, at least in the next week or so. Let's look at some Gemrate data. What do you know? Remember when we were like, oh no, grading slowed down a little bit. We're back, baby. Back over 1 million cards for PSA. They did get the bonus day in for the National. And This does include any numbers that were probably on-site graded, as they got added to the pop report basically in real time. PSA comes back in at 1 million, basically dead on where they've been for months. You can see a little 4% increase month over month. There's always going to be a little bit of a variance there. Year over year, 4% increase as well. SGC firmly in the number 2 slot, down slightly from last month, up massively from last year. Part of that is I actually reached out to Gemrate. I was like, what's going on with that 76% increase? A year ago, I guess, is when PSA kind of really opened back up again, and SGC had a pretty bad month that month. So that's why you're seeing that big come up on the year over year data. Beckett sitting 57K. I'll put an asterisk next to that, 3rd place. CGC's in 4th place, but that's still only accounting for TCG cards. I believe the sports pop report seems to be back up and running now. So hopefully in August, we have a clearer picture of what CGC is doing combined. But I have a feeling they graded more than 2,000 sports cards last month. So I'm going to go ahead and probably say they are truly in 3rd place with Beckett in 4th. Beckett, pretty big drop off from that last month. CGC, a slight drop off from last month. But once again, it's a little tricky to kind of evaluate their numbers since we're not necessarily seeing the full picture. But PSA, a mile ahead of everybody else. SGC, a distant 2nd. And then CGC and Beckett kind of battling things out for 3rd place. I still think out of all these, CGC has the most upward momentum just because of the size of the company and the backing behind it. There was a lot of positive buzz around the CGC booth this past week at the National. I think it was a chance for a lot of people to actually see their slabs in hand for the first time, even whether the new label or not, just to actually get a slab in their hand and kind of get hands-on experience with it. And overall, I think people had pretty positive experiences at their booth. They ran a clean operation from what I could see in my experiences there with the on-site grading. Then they had a bunch of cool stuff just going on. They had a bunch of little games that you can get tickets from, kind of like Chuck E. Cheese. And then they had a little panel thing off to the side. I know I watched part of one of Pancake Analytics little panels over there, and I kind of used that as a meeting area. If people were like, "Hey, where are you? I need to track you down for something," I would usually say meet at the CGC booth because they had a little sitting area off to the side with some tables and stuff, so you can kind of sneak over there. So I think they had a pretty good show. We'll see if they could carry that momentum going forward. But PSA just continues to be the dominant force. It's not even close. I haven't dug in and looked at sales data in a long time to see if anything has really changed much in that regard. You know, is all of a sudden someone selling for a lot closer to PSA 10 pricing or anything crazy like that? Maybe that'll be a worthwhile effort at some point in time this month, just because it has been so long that maybe we'll circle back and kind of take a peek to see how the numbers shake out on some stuff. A lot of SGC slabs on the show floor at the National, not necessarily just in vintage stuff, but you do see more modern cards in that slab. They still are pretty, based off what I've seen, I think they're still pretty neck and neck with BGS in regards to secondary market pricing. I still say that a Beckett slab is much easier to move than an SGC slab, at least for modern stuff. Vintage, whole different story. But like I said, we'll kind of revisit, dig back into those numbers. Just kind of, we'll give a quick scroll through here, look at the sports and the TCG aspect of it. PSA graded 500,000 sports cards last month. SGC graded just under 90,000. Beckett, 26,000. Big drop in Beckett in regards to sports cards. On the TCG side of things, 550,000 almost for PSA, 55,000 for CGC, 29,000 for Beckett, and only 6,000 for SGC, though that is a pretty decent uptick from the previous month. SGC's still biggest hole in their arsenal is the lack of TCG usage. People just, for whatever reason, don't want to put TCG in their slabs. I don't know if it's a reholder or not a reholder thing, a secondary market value thing, or people just don't like the way TCG looks in the SGC slab, but for whatever reason, they just cannot gain a ton of traction in that market. They ran those couple specials, things kind of popped up, and then they kind of ticked right back down again. They have leveled off at a slightly higher number, so that is good to see. Beckett backslides in both categories. CGC down slightly, but once again, at least on TCG side, on the sports card side, we don't have the full number. And then it's just crazy, you know, of that million cards that PSA is doing, over half are TCG. Just how major that aspect of the business is for them. And we are heading into a hot next couple months in the TCG world. We have Lorcana coming extremely soon. We have two very popular, or what seems to be very popular Pokemon sets with 151 and Obsidian Flames. We have Sorcery coming. If you're not familiar with that product, it was a Kickstarter last year. That has been getting a lot of buzz as well. So TCG not going anywhere. Bunch of big sets coming out. A bunch of Topps Chrome is going to be getting sent into all these grading companies. SGC did roll out. I don't think I mentioned it in any videos. SGC did roll out a $9 Topps Chrome grading special right as the National started. So I'm sure they'll get a nice little influx of Topps Chrome for that. I believe their football special is going on. I don't think that ran out, but don't hold me to that. Double check their website. I think the next move for them is just to go to $15 across the board flat and just kind of see how that sits with them. But like I said, I think this is going to be a little bit of a reset period for all these companies. Post-National, get things resorted out, kind of regroup, take the feedback they got from the show, and kind of plan for how they want to attack the last quarter of this year. In my opinion, I would act sooner than rather than later. I have a feeling this is a catch their breath month for PSA, and then they are going to come out guns blazing for September. Could be wrong. That's just my guess, where my thought process is at right now. But that's all I got for you, boys and girls. We will catch you tomorrow as we launch, unless there's crazy news, we launch the Topps Chrome project. I lay out the start of it and kind of what we're going to do. And then we'll start getting into the weeds on that over the next few weeks. I got a few different videos recorded already for that, a couple box openings and whatnot, as we kind of work through that stack of 8 hobby boxes. The results, that video probably won't be out till next week. The results from all the pulls from 8 boxes were, shall we say, wild to say the least. But see you boys and girls tomorrow. Peace.